So we needed something that was easy, manageable for processing transactions, multiple transactions, shipping, receiving, and maintaining our inventory with a high volume type environment. And we needed the ability to be able to, uh, with ease, being able to look at transactions and flow from invoice to PO and vice versa. You know, we needed to see if we had an item on order and hadn't come in, if it was attached to a customer's invoice. We didn't have that before. We had it. We knew it was on order for a customer. We just didn't have the ability to find out without going back into a different transaction through invoicing to find out who that customer was. So what we found with Lizzy was that when you bring up that customer, whoever that may be, or a vendor, you have the ability to look at any part and know if it's on order, how long it's been on order, what the order is, what the order is. You have the ability to contact that vendor, and everything that you do, you can actually keep track of, which is incredibly important because we have multiple people answering phones. So what happens is that we may have, let's say, our customer service rep answer a phone call from a customer who placed an order 3 days ago, but that customer placed the order with our tech service people. They don't communicate with each other. They're not obviously not talking about every order they place. So that customer service rep now has the ability to bring up that order to see all the details of it, and very importantly, tell that customer exactly what's going on in a second, and then log that call. So to us, it's an incredible tool because whatever promises we make to the customer, that's a deliverable that we have to meet, and that's something that we had a difficult time with in the past. As our customer base grows and our orders grow, that became very important, and we're actually meeting those goals now. We're looking at on a daily basis. We're looking at all our open orders. We're looking at all our open back orders, and we're looking at our invoices for our customers, and marrying those two and attacking both the vendor and then going back to the customer saying, proactively telling them, your part's on back order. This is the detail that we have from the vendor at this point, from the manufacturer, and we'll be able to, get this part out to you at this time. That is so important when you're dealing with these customers because, it's once they call you, if they take the time to say, I got to call these guys because I haven't heard anything from them, it's a problem. At that point, they're upset, rightfully so. They're upset. They have a concern. They never see you. You're a web to them. We're a web company, so they don't see you. They don't see you're an honest person. They don't see that you've been in for how long you've been in business. They're just somebody who they gave their credit card information to, and in hopes that they're going to get this part. So by that time, at the time that they have to pick up that phone call and make that and call you, they're not happy. They're nervous and anxious. So by proactively calling them, it settles them down. And 9 times out of 10, I don't have a problem. It's not an issue. I'm glad you called me. I was getting worried, but you guys, thank you for calling me, and then they move on.
So what about the communications between the brick and mortar store and here as far as ordering parts and transferring them, and how's that different than?
Well, it's different. It's different because the community it's seamless. There's no phone call. There's no sending of an email. It's as simple as entering an invoice, and it automatically comes up on our buyer's screen. The nice thing about one of the things that you just recently did for us is that we're able to see invoices that are for sales order items as they relate to our customers, all sales order items, and stock. So to us, it's a fantastic tool. One other thing that you guys did for us, which is incredible too, is if a customer is in dire need of a part and they want it overnighted, they want to spend that extra money to have a part overnighted, that required a phone call before. That required some special communication. Well, now it isolates that part and marks it in red. So what happens is that when our buyer brings up the screen, this giant red line comes across the screen. It draws your attention to it immediately. It's an overnight. We click on it and away it goes. So it gives us that again, a very seamless way of communicating without having to communicate. I guess it's just everything is in the system. So transfers, they need a part over at the store, they request the part, and it automatically creates a transfer here. It comes up as an order to be pulled. We grab that part. When it's pulled, it prints a ticket for the store, and we transfer it over to the store. Transfer meaning we take it physically to the store. So for us, it's been a fantastic tool in that, we have people spending time on what they need to spend time, which is with a customer, versus talking back and forth with each other here within the company. So that's been a great deal. One of the things that we didn't mention, the hold item. As a company that prides itself on its customer service, we have customers that have been with us for 15, 20, 25 years. And they'll call us and they'll say, listen, I'm on the road. Do you have these 4 parts? You do? Great. Hold them for me. Obviously, they've been with us for long. We don't charge them. We don't ask them for a credit card. They're in a rush, obviously. They're calling you from the road. So we have the ability now to hold parts. And what we do is we create an invoice as we were selling them a part, but instead of process, we hit hold for them. And what it does is it creates a home for them. We pull them from the inventory, and they're allocated a bin. And that's where we put the parts until the customer shows up. And when they do show up, we pull up their order and go grab the bin and charge them at that point. It tells us that we need to charge the customer. So that's been very helpful at the counter.
So what about any changes in service as far as what you used to do and the way the new service processes work?
That's one of the most to me, it's been one of the most interesting things. The service, the way our service has been built, it was always a person comes in and they say, hey, listen, I'm dropping off this machine. How many days? We look and we kind of guesstimate at what our backlog is, and then we tell them it'll be 3 or 4 days, or it'll be a day. We give them an estimate. What happened was that this was just another invoice, and if you look at the invoice number, it tells you, oh, it's an invoice. It's great. But this Lizzy allows you to look at the system and know what items have come in first, what is owed on these items. It allows you to take a glance and say, okay, well, this part's on back order. It's been on order for the customer. It's on back order. It allows you to communicate with that customer, look at the correspondence that you have with a customer. Allows you to be in a very controlled state when it comes to dealing with that customer. And again, this is unlike a customer who's buying parts. This is a customer who's turned in his unit to you and may not have another one. It may be a commercial guy that owns 10, but it may be that residential guy who owns 1 machine, and he really needs his thing. He's having a dinner party. He wants his grass, perfectly mowed and everything manicured. Now he needs his equipment. So it gives you the ability to communicate with that customer at a very high level of detail. So the customer will leave his unit. We process the unit. It allows us to see how long the unit's been there, how many hours we've put into that unit. It allows us to take parts and allocate to that job, assign to that job. Any parts that are ordered go to that job into a bin, and you'll know it flags you as to when the job is ready to work. So you can take units that have been there the longest, and now the parts are ready, and you move those into the flow, versus just cherry picking, and having your mechanics, cherry pick things that are most convenient for them to work. So it's really a very strong, it's very a powerful tool. And there's one thing that I found very interesting. It gives you the ability to schedule service, and that's something that we did not do. Very important for customers. Commercial guys will come in and say, well, my machine does need a tune-up, and there are some that don't do their own. So rather than have them dropping the machine off and saying, hey, I need a tune-up, it now gives you the ability to market the fact that you can say, look, If your machine needs a tune-up, okay, let me check what's the model number of your machine. You take a look and see what all the equipment, all the parts that you need for preventative maintenance. If you have them in stock, great. Then you can schedule them to come in on a particular day and have them out that same day. Whereas what we had before, which was a unit would arrive, hey, I need maintenance. Okay, we take it in, we may be missing a part, and now that he's made to wait 2 or 3 days for that part to arrive from the vendor, the manufacturer. So again, it becomes a very powerful tool, and it's kind of a behind the scenes that you start building a relationship with our customers, where they start to understand that, hey, they're working for us. Can't bring the machine in today, I can call them ahead of time and let them know I'm bringing it in, and I'll have the machine the same day. So that's been very helpful for our maintenance guys.
So are you guys, and I don't know if you guys are actually using any of the customer portal stuff. Do you have any of your customers that actually log in to look at their invoices or service tickets or any of that kind of stuff?
Not yet. We don't. It's something that we need to. I think that before offering that, I think we need to become very just completely comfortable. And
Right.
There's things to. Lizzy, the program is very powerful. It's got a tremendous amount of functionality, and it was funny because when you trained, I remember when you came down and we spoke for the first time, you had told us that you'll be hard pressed to use. I'd be surprised if you'd use and it's true. It use all the functionality that Lizzy has to offer, and it's true. There's a lot. That's one of the things that we need to get to. I think that we gotta walk before we run. So that's where we're getting to. But that's going to be a tool for us. It's very, very powerful, because a lot of the phone calls that we receive during the day are exactly that. Hey, what's going on with my unit? Whereas if a person can go in and see it, and they could see the notation from our maintenance manager and our technician, all the answers that they need are there. And the phone calls that you get now that'll drop are the ones that are really keyed into, hey, I don't quite understand it. What's happening with my unit? What exactly did you mean when you wrote this up? That's going to be that's an incredibly powerful tool. Our phone calls drop, and the ones that you're dealing with are really the ones that require that extra focus.
The integration with your web stores and that kind of stuff, has that changed dramatically from where you were originally? Or?
Yes, tremendously. We've gone our processing, our steps. That's dropped tremendously. We've gone from I guess I'm trying to think of the numbers. I didn't think of this beforehand, but we've gone to a process now that maybe is a 4-step process. It's very simple. You bring the orders over, they come over, they flag if something is not 100% correct, which is, to me, I think it's great, because you're working by exception. You're looking at those items that are problems, or maybe problems. It could be something as simple as an address. It could be something as simple as a part not being in your system yet, because you've never used it before. It's never been processed through your system before, and you're able to deal with those immediately. They're marked, simple to see, and you deal with them and then process those. But for the most part, the orders come in, and you bring them, you approve them, you look at them, you approve them, and then you process them into, from your web cart over into Lizzy by a click of a button. So it allows us to take 300 orders, and within 30 minutes, you're done. It's very quick, very easy. The functionality is simple. We've had. I like to kind of rate it by the people that the functionality, the ease of functionality, by the people that we bring in. I've got part-time guys here, college kids, who come in, have never worked a day in their life, ever, and sit down, and they're processing these orders from our website within an hour of being here. So it's that simple. And then it allows us to get those orders to our floor, to pulling, packing, and shipping immediately within that day. So our turnaround time on these orders have become a day. It's 24 hours versus, having an order sit for 48, 72 hours, and it still hasn't been processed. So that's been the difference for us. Now it allows us focus time to look at our min-max programs and our stock levels, and it allows us to focus on those things, which is truly that's the guts of our operation is having the time to have the right levels in stock to get you through, the cycle. This business being cyclical, it's the peaks that get us through the peaks, not run out of things. You want to maintain a fill rate, which I guess I'm getting into something else now, which you haven't asked, but our fill rate on orders is 180 out from what it was before. I mean, our fill rate now is well over 80%, probably getting close to that 90% level, whereas before we were maybe at 60, which is it's huge. It's 20 points and may not mean a lot, but when you're filling 300, 250, 300 orders a day, it means a lot, especially to those customers that are waiting for the parts. And we're back to that, how comfortable do they get with you when they get their orders right away, immediately, versus having to wait a week to even see a tracking number. So it's been very positive.
And as far as you'd mentioned it earlier, but just in case my videographer didn't get it earlier, your pulling processes as far as pulling the inventory, before you said you were doing it manually, and
it was, yeah.
So,
yeah, unfortunately we were doing everything. It was manual process. It was printing. It required a pulling of an order would require a printed invoice, a printed document. It was nightmarish because what would happen is that you'd pull the order with a paper, and of course now you're dealing with human beings who will make mistakes from time to time, and if you've ever dealt with these types of numbers that we deal in the OPE industry, some of these numbers are 12-digit long. I mean, it's a task. So they would pull the parts and they would put the parts out to ship. Well, the system didn't flag you. The system would assume that everything was correct. Well, now the system flags you. The system, when you pull a part, it requires you to scan. And that sounds like a lot, but it's not. It's much easier to scan a part and the system tells you it's correct and you hit enter and you're done. You're not sitting there having to detail every single digit of that number. Everything in our system is location based. So the part should be in that bin. So when you get there and you see the first, these are correct, and you scan it, the system tells you, it flags you. This is the wrong part or it's the right part. You hit enter and you move on to the next one. And as it goes to shipping, well, the guys in shipping, when they grab that bin next to ship and they scan that part that's in there, it's a no-brainer. It's there. You hit enter. It's good. If you're missing a part, it lets you know. If you have the wrong part, it lets you know. So all our orders go out perfect, and that is something that we would not do before. So we would have cases where the customers will call, "Hey, I received the wrong blade, or I received the wrong filter, or I received the wrong anything, wrong grommet. Something simple, a 79-cent part, but this guy can't get his mower back together. So now he's made to wait another, 2 days to get the part. So that's gone away. So the functionality of the pulling system, which transfers to our, it kind of flows over into our shipping, has made us very efficient and accurate. I mean, the phone calls that we receive now is usually, "Hey, you shipped us the wrong part," and then we look and it's not that we shipped they've ordered the incorrect part, and it's gone away. The problem is not existent anymore. So it's been good. It's been fantastic. In fact, been very helpful.
So, can you think of anything else, Tony? Since Gus is like
I do.
Videographer over here.
I can tell you what, purchasing. We haven't talked about purchasing.
We haven't talked about purchasing.
We haven't talked about purchasing, and I'll tell you something. Purchasing, Diana, who you'll see exactly what she does, and it's I've always believed that a buyer, the true job of a buyer is not to place an order. I believe anyone can. I can bring my 14-year-old son here, and they could place an order. They could take what's on a screen and transfer it over to an order. What the buyer does is they ensure that the parts get here. Okay, they're the people who say, okay, I've got 10 orders out there. I've got 3 that are on back order. I've got 7 that are sitting there that should be here, should have been here yesterday. They're not, and they follow those things up to get those parts here, so we can get our customers fulfilled, our customer orders fulfilled. That's what we've been able to do here. Now our purchasing is very simple. As I mentioned earlier, the orders are divided. If you've got orders for still, for example, and you've got customers that have ordered parts that we do not have in stock, and then items that have come out from min-max that need to be ordered for stock, those are created as 2 separate POs, and one's marked as sales order and one is marked as stock. That's incredibly powerful for us because it allows us an opportunity to say, well, look, yeah, we don't meet the minimum PO for with that vendor at this moment. However, we've got these parts that are for customers. So it allows us the opportunity to sit there and say, okay, we're going to put these orders together now, and we're going to either add something for stock, increase our level at that moment so we can get past that limit, or we just say, look, we're going to pay freight for these parts to get our customers whole. So it gives us that decision. It allows us to make that decision very quickly on the front end. The POs are entered very quickly. Most of our POs, I think with the exception of maybe 3 or 4, are we download a PDF file, or we download whatever format the vendor is accepting at the moment. We have some that are from CSV files, and we have some that get downloaded automatically. But with a click of a button, literally, it creates the file in the method that we need it created, and all we got to do is then upload it to the vendor or the manufacturer. That's been an incredible feat for us because it's taken the time that it used to take to enter POs to a bare minimum. The other nice thing that we've got with the POs is that as you look at the PO, it does a couple of things. It tells you, does this item have min-max? You're looking at an item, and you used to, when we first started, it said, okay, order 3 or 4, but now it tells you, does it have a min-max associated with it? So you're able to put a min-max if you know that item is something that you're using consistently, you can add a min-max to it, and that's incredibly powerful for us because it allows us to maintain proper level of inventory and move it along. That linked with your inventory analysis report, which I'm a big fan of. I just started working with that thing just this week here. The inventory analysis report allows you to make a decision on that one item at that second. It gives you all the data you need. It gives you the part number, of course. It tells you if you have a min-max assigned to it. If it doesn't, Lizzy tells you if, based on the criteria that you've entered, it tells you what your min-max should be based on the number of sales that you've had on that item and based on the time of year it is. So that's different from anything that we've had in the past, or anything that I've heard of out there that's available, because it allows you to say, well, you know what, I'm going into my busy season, so I want to increase the percentage of where I want to be on my mins. I want to increase that, and it'll start looking at what you've sold in that period of time and say, yeah, you need to bump these up, and it does it for you and allows you to either check posted, which it marks it automatically, or uncheck it if you don't want to post that min-max. It allows you to set your own min-max as well. It tells you how many times that item has been sold and how many invoices you've sold them on, which is incredibly important, because if it's a one-off, if you sold 24 of something, but it turns out it's one case that you sold to one person, you don't want to necessarily have a min max on that item. So it gives you those details that are very important for a buyer to be able to maintain the level of inventories necessary to run a business like this. And I think that functionality is really going to set us apart from where we were before and where we are now. We've got one buyer, and we have that buyer runs the store, the brick and mortar, and our web business. So I think that's an accomplishment. I think that's definitely worth its the investment that we've made in Lizzy. So.
Think of anything that we've left out?
No, he's pretty much covered it. I mean, there's little residual things like, paper savings and, think about the...
It's not residual. No, that's important.
Incremental.
We don't use paper anymore. That's the other thing, we used to go through 6 cases of paper.
Through the process that we used to... All right, in the morning...
Well...
We come in.
Yeah.
We print our orders.
Instead of downloading, we print orders. If you can imagine, we had we had 200 orders, so we had 200 sheets of paper to print out. So you got toner, you got paper. We would go through 6 cases of paper every 10 days. I can only remember the last time we ordered paper. To be honest, and I'm not exaggerating.
And we'd print it back as well. We'd have to duplicate
toner.
We'd duplicate our print receipts, right? Because you'd file a receipt.
That's right.
You'd pack one in the sheet.
Yep.
You'd print your pick lists so they could go around. So that's 3 sheets of paper per order. Printed.
Incredible. And the filing, all the filing. It's pretty intense. I didn't even remember the amount of work that we put in there.
We had that extra barcode that printed out with the print label.
Yep.
And then you would peel it and stick that onto the printed receipt as proof of shipment.
Yeah. It's incredible. I had forgotten about that. We would file all these documents, and customer would call, where's my package? And sure enough, if for whatever reason that barcode or that tracking number had not been downloaded, because you had to physically download it into the what we call the fill invoice, or the outgoing invoice, and you had to go back in a file and look for it. And it's a function. You sit there at your desk, and it's as simple as you call up the invoice, you look at the one the fill invoice, the one that shipped, you click on that tracking number, and it takes you right to the internet, track it, you're done. And it's literally you're less than 30 seconds and you're done. But we're saving money. Toner, printers. We had printers here. We had to replace printers after 16 months. We had to replace printers because of the wear and tear. We now print all our packing lists from our Zebra printers. Thankfully, it's a program that you just put in place here just a week ago. I don't remember when we bought paper last. We certainly don't buy 6 cases of paper, and that's only here, by the way. That's the other thing. Then our brick and mortar store. We would buy a tremendous amount of paper over there. So, and we'll change that too. And we'll change that too. That'll be the next evolution over there, is going to the little 3-inch receipts, and that'll be simple to do over there. So, we've come a long way with some of those things.
So what about the experience of running the software with the internet versus having a server here locally? Have you experienced any problems or anything like that?
We did initially, but it was something that was easily fixed. We ran into a situation here one day where our internet service went down. We run. It's on my desk actually. We run Comcast down here, is the company that does it, and we're in an area where they have an old system, old wiring, old everything, and then they're changing it out every time we have a storm or some event. We sometimes have problems. They actually told us one time, and I'm not kidding. This is true. They said the squirrels eat through the lines. I kid you.
Yeah.
But anyway,
When it rains,
yeah.
that there's something on the lines that attracts them. It
Yeah.
must have a smell. Maybe the
I kid you
asphalt.
not. It was an interesting. But we went over to our wireless supplier, and they gave us a hotspot. It's a little box, and you probably know exactly what I'm talking about. And we came over. Victor went ahead and put all the computers to log on to this thing,
We
this
bought
box,
hubs. We bought USB
right?
Wi- Wi-Fi hubs for all the machines.
We were $25 for the hotspot, for $100, I'd say.
20, $30.
Our entire operation was up and running, and we were otherwise we'd be down. I mean, we were completely dependent on Comcast, so we can communicate through a router over to the store to our server. So when that will go down, we were done. It was take messages, and that we were done. So we were up and running in an hour. Didn't miss a beat. We're completely functional. Really, we could go down, power could go out. We turn on our generator, and we could continue to work with that hotspot as if nothing,
As long as
were
there's Wi-Fi
happening.
service, as long as there's cell phone
Yeah.
service, we can be.
If
up and
the
running.
Wi-Fi, the towers go down, I guess, and then it'd be a bigger problem. I don't know what will cause that to happen, but if it were, then we have a problem. But as long as the cell phone towers are up, we're up and running, and and actually over at the brick and mortar store, that's been very helpful too, because we also find that over there when the internet will go down, now you had customers and you were checking these customers out manually. Not too bad if they're buying, $2 parts, $3 parts, but when they're buying a unit from you, and you're dealing with serial numbers, and you're dealing with these kinds of things, that was a problem, because, for that time that the system is down, you're leaving yourself exposed to, anything that can happen. People coming in and fraudulent issues with people wanting to steal from you, and that can happen. So now it's no longer an issue. They have a hotspot as well. They plug it in, and we're off and running.
So as far as system updates and price file updates, all that kind of stuff, any differences there?
The differences are that it happens quicker. The ease of it is certainly something that we enjoy. We get updates. I mean, it's difficult saying this to you without making it sound like I'm, hey, but the fact of the matter is that we've called with some of the simplest things, and we've called with some interesting, intricate things, and they've all been taken care of. That to me has been the biggest value, is the fact that we are able to call in or send in the message via the internet, opening up a ticket, and within hours we have functionality. We have something that's working the way we need it to work, and it's for the greater good. We understand we're part of a big group of people that use Lizzy, but I find that we're all kind of after the same thing. So the functionality, really, we all share it, and it's been very, very positive. That's been, and I talk to Tony about this all the time, is that to me it's nice to be able to call or be able to send a message and have it be made feel like, hey, you know what, it's important, we're taking care of it, and you see results within hours usually, and that to me is important. We didn't have that. We had the phone call, and okay, we'll have somebody call you, and then we're going to have 3 people investigate it, and okay, we're going to put it as a I forget what the term is, but anyway, a product update request, and things just didn't happen. I mean, it took us. When we first came here, I was very frustrated. It took me 4.5 months to get an interface created, and it was I would love to say it was like pulling teeth, but it wasn't. It was worse. And I haven't experienced that at all. It's been it just lets us concentrate on, again, our business and what we're trying to do here as a company. And I start looking at Lizzy and yourself as a business partner, and using you to develop our business going forward, which is important. I mean, 'cause we don't have the developers. We don't have the all these ideas that are coming from all the other customers as well. I mean, we're feeding off each other, and that's important because we don't know it all. I mean, we're dumb as rock sometimes. But the fact of the matter is that we gain from these ideas and all the that pool that all this is being put into. So that to me has been one of the greatest positive things from this switching to Lizzy is the fact that we're not only getting what we need right now, but I believe we're getting what we're going to need in the future, which is that partnership that is going to help our business grow, and it's endless. I mean, we're working with a program that and people. We're working with a company that is in tune with change, and that to me, I love change. I embrace it. I love to have people tell me I'm wrong, and I love people to tell me, look, this is what's not working, and I enjoy all that, and that's something that I know you enjoy as well. So I feed off that. It makes us better and stronger. So.